Call this meeting of the Ulster County Legislature to order. It's my pleasure to welcome Eagle Scouts Jonathan Stagliano and William Kennies to lead us in the pledge this evening. And after the pledge, please remain standing for a brief moment of silence.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, before you sit down, if you'd like to come up and tell us all a little bit about your Eagle Scout projects.
Hi, I'm William. I'm from Plattekill, Troop 79, newest Eagle Scout of the troop. So for my project, it was 3 events for the senior citizens of the area. The first event was a movie matinee. We watched Bringing Up Baby, and we had like a bunch of popcorn, and there was a big sheet cake. The second event was a game night. The main event was bingo, and then partway through we took a break for some like mini carnival games, and there were a lot of prizes given out then. And then the third event was a brunch buffet held at the Elks Lodge in New Paltz, and it was like part of it was like more breakfast foods like waffles, and then later there was like pasta chicken, stuff like that. So, and it was all at the benefit for the senior citizens of like Plattekill, Modena, the surrounding areas like that. So if you have any questions you could ask, I'm free to answer. Or if not, I can go.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Stagliano, Eagle Scout Troop 37, and for my project, I replaced the roof over the outdoor dog kennel of the Middletown Humane Society. It was all paid for through a very successful fundraiser. We paid for the roof with the money made from the fundraiser, and then we had $650 left over. That was all given back to the Middletown Humane Society. That's it.
Well done, and congratulations to the both of you. The theme of the month this month is prostate cancer awareness, recognizing one of the deadliest diseases affecting men today and the progress made in early detection and treatment of prostate cancer. I'm pleased that later on after the announcements, our good friend and former legislator Jack Hayes and his colleagues will share some information about efforts in Ulster County to bring awareness to this deadly disease. And with that, Vicki, would you make our announcements, please?
Of course. Fire evacuation plan. Please note that in the event of an emergency, the fire department has requested that legislators and all others move at least 1 block away from the county office building in order not to impede the firefighters in their duties. Cell phones. Please silence cell phones for the duration of the session. Microphones. Please be reminded to use your microphones when speaking so that you are recorded for the official record. Roll call. Allen.
Here.
Bartels. Here. Belfilio. Berkey. Here. Briggs. DeLon.
Here.
Donaldson. Here. Fabiano.
Here.
Gerantine.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Hepner.
Here.
Lab.
Here.
Litz. Lopez.
Here.
Lauren. Mayo.
Here.
Maloney. Parity John.
Here.
Parity Richard.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Present.
Ronk.
Here.
And Worrow.
Here.
18 present, 5 absent.
And again, there's many items, as every month, on the agenda, communication items from different branches of government, from this branch of government, if anybody wants to take a look. We have them all cataloged for you. With that, I am honored to invite former legislator Jack Hayes to introduce his colleagues and share the efforts throughout Ulster County to create awareness regarding prostate cancer. And then I invite Craig Lopez as chair of the Health Committee to come up with them.
Good evening. Really good to see everyone again. There's a time that happens in a lot of men's lives where a doctor looks across at them and says that they've got cancer. And even the tough guys get like a knot in the stomach, and it's like it pushes the breath out of you. And with that said, there's a lot of questions, a lot more questions than at first there are answers. And there's a group here in Hurley called Prostate Cancer 101, and they're outstanding in the assistance that they give to diagnosed families. And I say families because prostate cancer just doesn't affect men, it affects the whole family. It affects the spouse, the partner, and everyone else. And there's, once again, there's that feeling of what happens next. Representing Prostate Cancer 101 is Diane Satowski, one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my whole life. And they do it nonstop. They're there for every person that walks through the door. There is no charge. They don't diagnose. They give information with regard to what's available, and there's a whole list of people who have been through Prostate Cancer 101, and each of us on the list welcomes anyone to give us a call. When I got diagnosed, I called about 6 people and asked them what they did for treatment and how they liked what they got, and one thing and another. It was very reassuring. With that said, that's enough for me. I would introduce Diane, and she's like a great person.
That was a paid political announcement. You're probably wondering, what is a woman doing up here talking about prostate cancer? Well, the easy answer is the other officers and board members were either busy tonight or they were too shy to make a speech. So that left it to the delicate flower. We have been around since 1995. And you're probably wondering, how the heck haven't we ever heard of you? Well, you probably haven't had a need. We have helped hundreds and hundreds of men in that time. We were founded by Ron Coster, who had a vocation after his vocation at Ulster County Community College. He was a font of knowledge and knew a lot of doctors, top doctors who specialized in prostate cancer, and they respected him because of his knowledge. He was wonderful. We're sorry that he is no longer with us. He and John Breithaupt and John Decker, who some of you may know, were the founders of this group, and our core group continues with their legacy. As Jack mentioned, men come into a meeting and they're in shock. You know, if any of you have had that cancer diagnosis, I have. And you don't know what to do. They come into a meeting and they get information. We give them, we educate them. They get a packet of information that tells them all about what is a PSA test. It's a prostate-specific antigen test. It's a simple blood test. And if you men haven't gone and gotten yours, go do it. It's no big deal. It's a lot easier than a mammogram. Trust me on this. They learn about what a Gleason score is. They come in and say, what does that mean? What does that mean? So they get that information. And by the time they leave, they're feeling better about things because they have a plan. They see men around that table who have been survivors for 10, 20 years. We have 2 men, Fred Bell and Gene Gorelli, who have been with the group almost since its inception, probably 6 months after it first started. And they still volunteer their time to help others. We're fortunate in that other men have come through the group and come back to continue to help others. And that's the name of the game. If you've been helped, reach out and help someone else. So to sum up, go get that PSA blood test, especially if you have a family history, if your dad or grandfather had prostate cancer. Very, very important. Keep track of your numbers, and if you need information or help, that little yellow brochure on your desk tells you a little bit more about us and where to find us. We're also online. We have a site, prostatecancer101.org. So thank you for your proclamation, for your time, and for recognizing the need to make men more aware of prostate cancer and the help that's available. And Jack, thank you for running with the ball and for that wonderful.
Sorry, man, I thought I had you.
Yeah, I think everything was well said. You know, like anything, awareness is always key. You know, it's key to prevent. You know, have to take a proactive approach. You know, keep those doctor's appointments. And you know, I get that PSA checked, and you know, you keep active, you eat right, you know, you exercise, and you know, you run for assembly. Yeah, so yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's I really appreciate you both coming and speaking to this very important issue, and on behalf of the legislature, we would like to present you with a proclamation. All right, the Ulster County Legislative Chamber's proclamation. Whereas prostate cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer-related deaths among men. In New York State, more than 15,000 men are diagnosed with prostate cancer each year, and more than 1,700 men will die from the disease each year. And the most clearly established risk factors for prostate cancer are age, race, family history. More than 60% of all prostate cancers diagnosed occur among men over the age of 65, with African American men nearly 2.5 times more likely to die from the disease. And the men of all ages, races, and family histories should be aware of the risks and factors affecting their health and the benefit of early detection and screening for prostate cancer. And there are many effective options to treating prostate cancer, and men who have been diagnosed with prostate cancer should talk to their healthcare providers about what treatment options are best. And prostate cancer can often be treated successfully, and more than 2 million men in the United States count themselves as prostate cancer survivors. Now, therefore, be it, I, Ken Runk, Jr., Chairman of the Ulster County Legislature, do hereby proclaim September 2016 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
Legislator Allen, would you like to say something?
Yeah, my father actually passed away from prostate cancer. He died 3 weeks before I won my election when I first got elected, and it had metastasized to his bones, and he didn't pursue an aggressive treatment therapy program. What I would have liked to have seen him with like a cyberknife type program. We would have had to go down to New York City or Westchester County for that. Unfortunately for my father, he didn't go to the doctor for like 6.5 years. He went once because he had fallen getting a colonoscopy, and he bruised himself in his rib area severely. So he had an aversion going to the doctor. So a simple PSA blood test would have detected it. Yeah, he developed kidney cancer and prostate cancer simultaneously, and his PSA was 126 because he had only been to the doctor once in 6.5 years. So definitely the annual PSA tests are. I went. Yeah. 0.9.
Make me come over there.
It was 4 years ago, but I need to go again. It was so low but I need to go again. Yeah.
Keep track, please.
So
Well,
we are presenting this Pride Award to the two of you for your work in prostate cancer awareness.
thank you so much.
One moment. Don't go away. Don't go away. We're gonna make the 8 by 10 block.
Somebody else?
Did you read about plastic stand and prints?
Well, no.
All right.
It's not plastic. You know, I think maybe that's one.
I mean, no, I don't know. I was gonna send you a link to it. Oh, isn't that cute? So cute. He's adorable.
We love this camera phone.
Busy? Busy, Dean? Busy. Yeah, yeah. Well, it looks like you'll still have another couple weeks of good weather. At least in October.
What's in that? Cheap napkin?
No. I just made a mess.
Oh.
Small mess.
That's okay. Nobody's looking.
You know, if we get to December with not bad snow, then the weather not so bad.
Hi, Jack. How are you, hon?
Good,
Good.
good to see you.
You too.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. It's exactly the kind of awareness that I was hoping to bring to issues like this when we started doing the theme of the month. Thanks, Chris. With that, we move into our period of public comment. You just show up and immediately start making noise.
He just took that shirt from a highway department guy.
At this time, we're going to move into public. Hey, Hector? We're going to move into public comment.
You see somebody walking around with no shirt outside, you know where you got a shirt from.
All right. Vicky, how many people do we have signed up for public comment?
There are 4 speakers signed up. The first speaker is Frank Nazaro.
I would like to take a moment of silence for the loss of my friend and co-worker at the First Baptist Church for the dinners on Wednesday night, Pat Byrne, who leaves 4 young children behind, and they will be needing help. So you may want to contact the First Baptist Church and see what you can do to help. And since time is always of the essence in Ulster County, I'm going to play you a little video. And I don't have my laptop, but this is Ryan Lennox. And turn it up. Yep. It's interesting. Technology is bad when you can't see.
Walking in the sun and rain, choo-choo, I pretend that I'm a train. The super chief comes and I step aside. Oh, how I wish that I could thumb a ride. 30 miles of railroad track. 30 miles of railroad track.
Thank you, Frank. Your time is up.
Okay, we'll be back next month.
Thank you.
Brian Blass.
Hello, my name is Brian Blass. I'm really not much of a speaker and never was, so please bear with me. My background briefly is that I grew up here almost all my life, arriving in Kingston in 1959 at the age of 9½. I graduated from high school and went on to college. I'm a Vietnam-era veteran and recently retired postal worker. I stayed close to my town and county, and I love and I saw a lot of changes over the many years. Mostly sad changes that didn't do our once beautiful town and county any good. I'm usually a quiet man and allow things to be as they are, usually voicing my own opinions with family and friends and supporting organizations that try to prevent more of the same kinds of destruction. Today it has gotten much worse. In my opinion, as self-centered and self-righteous politics without any regard for the public's opinion, and to keep that opinion at bay using scare tactics, false statements, lies, gag orders, and propaganda through a newspaper planted deep in their pockets, telling only one side of the true story while leaving the other side out of the news completely unless there is something negative to say about it. This has allowed only one-sided issues to get through. I belong to the Trolley Museum, the Friends of Historic Kingston, and the Ulster and Delaware Railway Revitalization Corps. But I'm here as a private tax-paying citizen of this county to tell everyone that the propaganda going on against the railroad has just got to stop. The few politicians who insist on their issue of only a trail are hell-bent to get their agenda through, no matter what the public wants, and in spite of what has already been proved to have many negative and costly ramifications, and will end up producing little, if any, revenue. Meanwhile, they forcefully keep out the real answer to the prosperity of our county, a complete and viable railroad with a trail alongside or nearby. The sad part of all this is that there are only a few selfish politicians who are doing this, but they wield such power in our county as Hitler did in Germany with the same results. And there's proof. In spite of what you've been told, I know, and you can ask and find this out on your own, that thanks to the volunteers for the railroad who painstakingly and no cost to the county rebuilt and restored most of the corridor up to Phoenicia, it has been shown that the tracks are in good condition from here to Phoenicia, with 4 exceptions, and only one of them being very costly, the Boyceville Bridge, which is designated, by the way, to be restored through FEMA. It has already been demonstrated that the railroad can successfully run its train up to the Glenford Dyke, as Hine had already agreed to, and beyond, as the
Please wrap
railroad
up your
has
comments.
also
Your time is up.
demonstrated that it could. Hine's boys have contradicted this, even though it was physically proved, and now to still prove their false point, have recently paved over the
Sir,
track
your time is up.
crossing. I have to stop?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Testing.
Before we go on to the next speaker, I'd like to make a blanket announcement to the room. That's at least the second time that somebody has invoked, Adolf Hitler and/or the Nazis in their public comment on this particular subject. Moving forward, I will not entertain public comment from people who do so because it's very irresponsible and unacceptable.
Meg Carey.
No doubt you are all aware that the Stony Hollow Route 28A railroad crossing has been paved over. Did the full legislature know about this in advance? Resolution 488 passed last December says in part, quote, "The segment between milepost 8.33 and Basin Road shall be the last segment to be altered or converted on the east side of the Ashokan Reservoir. Instead, it appears to be the first segment altered in the UND corridor. Has Resolution 488 been disregarded? I'm concerned about this kind of action by the county, which affects the UND corridor before important issues have been resolved and the public involved in the planning process. I've been trying to get answers about these issues for more than 3 years. I'll ask my questions again. How many private property owners are there in the UND corridor, and have they agreed to a trail across their properties? What is the situation with rail banking, and why has it only been discussed in executive session? Why has the eligibility for historic designation of 12 miles of the corridor from Shokan to Phoenicia been ignored? We need complete information about how a continuous trail can actually be built before altering any part of the UND corridor.
And Nick Mercurio.
Hi. This railroad crossing seems to be the topic of the day. I had occasion near the end of May to spend some time near this crossing, changing a flat tire. What I observed is this: an area on either side of the crossing that looked like the aftermath of a bombing run, and a pair of canyons across the road that were up to 2 feet wide, 6 inches deep at least, and cars swerving into the opposite lane to miss the craters. This is not good. Cars changing lanes in a curve with bad sight lines, but that's what people were doing. The pavement was in rough shape, not just at this crossing, but for at least a half mile on one side and a good mile on the other side. Sometime in June, I passed through again. The county had repaired some of the damage in the vicinity of the rail crossing. It was decent, but the road was still in pretty rough shape. Sometime thereafter, I assume in the last couple of weeks, the county did what needed to be done to protect the traveling public. 1.5 miles of deficient pavement was repaved and restriped, a hazard was remediated, and public safety was improved. I would have to say that the thousands of cars a day that travel that road, who now don't have to play chicken with each other at this crossing, benefited, and it was a good thing. I'm glad the county did it. Thanks.
Are there any other speakers? Okay. At this point, we'll move into resolutions now. Legislator Mayo, do you have a motion to move some items into consent?
Yes, Chairman. We would like to move Resolution 390 into consent.
Into not. 390 has to be pulled out of consent.
390 out of consent.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I switched my list. Well, okay, we'll do non-consent first. Move into non-consent.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you? Okay. 390.
Yes.
I'll stick with my resolution.
And into consent. And into consent.
Yes. Resolution 414 and 415.
Okay.
So we are going to move into consent 414, 415, and we're pulling out of consent 390.
390.
I'll second all of those, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor of moving those to and from?
Aye.
Opposed? On the consent agenda?
We are a short yes.
The resolutions are adopted 18-0.
Resolution 363, approving ballot proposition to be submitted to the qualified voters of Ulster County regarding a new location for the Ulster County Family Court.
May I speak, Chairman?
Legislator Mayo?
As elected officials, we have a responsibility to the taxpayers to find innovative solutions to meet state mandates. The proposal to move the family court accomplishes that. As elected officials, we also have a responsibility to the voters to explain why we are asking to move the family court. The approved ballot language accomplishes that. I would hope that even with the protests that are being spoken are showing voters the point that this move is only 800 feet outside of city limits and will improve services by creating a one-stop location for families and children's services, and will be a win-win for the taxpayers. By reducing the need to raise property tax in the long run, we will satisfy these state mandates. I will be a no on Resolution 363.
Legislator Donaldson?
Well, let me, where will I start here? A committee was formed about 14 months ago to study this particular issue. I think Legislator Mayo chaired that committee. And at that point, when the committee met, they were advised by the county executive they do not need to deal with this issue, that he was going to deal with the issue. The issue was not dealt with until very recently when they came back again and said, here's the solutions. Pick one of these solutions, and then they had the planning department work out numbers and such to show that you're a complete idiot if you don't move to the BRC, even though they didn't consider anything like that of renovating the very building that they're in or looking at other buildings, the Freeman building, so on and so forth. Now, also, I have a hard time reading because I do breathe through my neck and I have to do this. So if you don't mind, could I sit? Could I sit to read or look?
Absolutely, Legislator Donaldson.
Thank you.
Be pleased to.
Thank you. All right, anyway, they were told they need to do nothing. So nothing was done to create a crisis and a need to rush through this decision. And in fact, we just received a letter, and in that letter said basically we better be doing something and doing it now, and they will not tolerate any more wait, even with the ballot on there. They said that, so they're not happy. And all this brings this sort of this manipulative wording of the ballot to move such, and I believe that's part of it. Now, I will say, Chairman Runk sent out a request for language. I did not respond, and no one else responded, because I think, and I know from me, I thought it was a no-brainer. It's, should you move the court from City of Kingston at its spot to the BRC? That's really a no-brainer. But that's not how it came out. And instead, what happened was, in order to better service the children and families and to avoid increases in taxes, which is all debatable because in reality, you can move it other places in order to service children and families. It doesn't mean that it has to go to the BRC. There are other solutions. Well, once the language came out, it was myself and Legislator Parity immediately responded. They changed it slightly, but it's still the same flowery type of language. They claimed that it was a fact, but it is not a fact because the same can be done elsewhere. Why not include that it cost $8 million to renovate the BRC before? Why isn't that included? Because that's going to be overdone. Why is it not included the $8 million to do Sophie Finn? Because that's what the thing was done in order to move the college into the BRC. Out of the BRC and into Sophie Finn. So there's that $8 million there. Why is that not added to it? Along with that, you did not add that it's going to be $10 million to do this renovation. In other words, all the positive things were in there, none of the negative things. Instead, why not? Why didn't they have, in order to inconvenience foot traffic and reduce revenue to the City of Kingston businesses, and because officials are too lazy to find a better solution, why was that not added in? Because we had to rush this because they waited to the last minute. But that's not added on the ballot now, is it? Now, I wouldn't expect it to be added to the ballot. What I would expect it to be is a ballot to be neutral. Not the idea of the thumb of government on the scale in order to do this. And that's what this is. It is an insult. And it insults the intelligence of the voters of this county. But in the end, it's really insulting. You're insulting your own intelligence when it comes to this. Because this is not needed. If you want to pass this, I encourage anyone that agrees with this, they should campaign for it. I think they should make that point. There's no problem with that. But instead, the language is here, and it's playing the voters for jumps. And it's sad. It's sad that that's the way we're going to do it. Because you know what? As I talk to my attorney, with who we will be filing the case I believe next Friday, I'll actually do it. And despite what you may think,
Legislator Donaldson, I don't believe that litigation against the legislature of the county should be talked about outside of executive session.
There's no litigation yet until I can say it anytime I want. That's an absurd thing. The thing here is it calls into your intelligence when you do this. And not only that, but as a couple of attorneys advised me, they said this is the very thing that people are sick and tired with government about. They're sick and tired that government is abusing their ways and doing things in this manner. This is an abuse. There's absolutely no reason to put a ballot language in that manner on there. Basically, shame on you for doing it.
Legislator Allen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I respect Legislator Donaldson. When I came up with an idea to seek private funding for the electric car charging station, it was an idea that I presented in caucus. Legislator Donaldson was very supportive of my idea, thought it was a great idea. He turned his mic on. I think he was sitting in the very spot where I sit now, and he promoted me for coming up with a great idea. But I disagree wholeheartedly. I am the swing vote here tonight. I'm the only member present of the Democratic caucus that is going to vote no on this. I have a fiduciary responsibility to the residents of District 2 that I represent and to the residents of Ulster County. The reality is, this is not, please, the members of the journalists here tonight, members of the media, don't write this up as something that goes across party lines. This is not a partisan issue. This is a postmodern issue that has to do with the interpretation of what is considered to be correct on ballot proposition language. So it's reality isn't reality, perception is reality. So some members of this legislative body individually think that language is leading while others think it's informative. I happen to think it's informative. When I first ran for office, I got criticism from members that were in my Democratic Party in Saugerties. They told me my letters were too long, that they were far too detailed, and that you have to dumb it down for the voters. And I ran into a friend of mine, and she said, "Chris, I'm so happy that you're running for office. I can't wait to vote for you. I'm so proud of you." And I said, "Well, they tell me they're doing it wrong, that I'm doing it wrong. I'm writing these letters in the paper. They're telling me it's too long. I got to dumb it down for the voters." She said, "Chris, don't listen to them. Keep doing what you're doing. They've been dumbing it down for us too long." So the reality is there should be more language on this ballot referendum. There are so many details associated with this issue. The reality is the city of Kingston has finite space. There's limited areas for commercial real estate that would fit the criteria set forth by the consolidated courts in New York State. Okay, there's a finite number of commercial properties available for this project. Okay, the other options that are county property, the Alms House was sold. Okay, the architectural structure of that building wouldn't fit the project. The Golden Hill Mental Health Facility, okay, is not conducive to this project. And we had an outside consulting firm came in, and it was calculated that the cost differential would be an additional $10,721,000 to the taxpayers of Ulster County. Okay, with a $334 million budget, we cannot afford an additional $10,721,000. We would have to move out the entire mental health department. We would have to lease out a temporary home and a permanent home for them. We'd have to hire, subcontract out to a moving crew to have them come in, move out all the office equipment, all the computers, all the files. in addition to that, the construction costs are an additional $5 to $7 million that are calculated into that $10.72 million cost. So the reality is the voters of Ulster County deserve to be informed on this issue. And in my opinion, this is not leading language. There should be far more explanatory language. Every constituent I've spoken to about the issue agrees with me that I'm doing the right thing, as does my party chairman in Saugerties, my former party chairman, everybody I've spoken to on the issue. I'm voting no. Thank you.
Legislator Parity. Legislator John Parity.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I go too long, you can yawn or wave or do what you have to do, you know? Listen, I thought we voted on this proposal, and I lost 18-4. We were slapped around. I am not going to be addressing the vote. It's nonsensical to stand here tonight and talk about justifying the move when we're talking about an amendment that is going to be on the ballot. Very few opportunities to have public initiatives available. And I did respond when you sent your note out, and I do thank you for acknowledging that. So we lost the vote. But I have dealt with referendums before. And back in 2003, I, cooperating with other members of this legislature, had on the ballot two propositions. One, to create single-seat districts in Ulster County, and two, to reduce the size of the legislature from 33 members to 23 members. Two propositions. All that was on the ballot was what I just said. My colleague, Legislator Allen, said, nobody looks at these referendums, so we have to embellish it. Back then, the voters, I think some 23 or 25,000 of them, cast their ballots to create single-seat districts and to reduce the size of the legislature. There was no editorializing, no exaggeration, and no embellishment like we have now on this referendum. It happened because people worked for it. They believed it was the right thing. And that's what we should be doing here. There is no reason whatsoever that the language, as a matter of fact, my good friend Dave, I think his language is a little bit of editorializing in here. His compromise, which I am prepared to vote for because it is a compromise. You know, during the last referendum that I can kind of recall was on gambling. And the Attorney General created a very neutral language referendum. It was overruled by the executive department, and it was rather heavily embellished. Siena did a poll, and showed that the embellished language created a 9-point advantage in the yeses over the noes versus the straightforward, honest language. I do not believe the government should have their heavy hand on the scale, the butcher with his little finger on the scale, to weigh it in his favor. I think this is wrong. I don't think it's necessary. I think an 18-4 vote would be enough to indicate to the public that the legislature was right and we were wrong. I can live with that. I think the language is wrong, and I thank you for your patience, sir.
Thank you, Legislator Parity. Legislator Rodriguez.
Did you forget my name?
For a moment.
Okay.
He tried to.
Mr. Chairman, we've been serving together a long time.
He said it, I didn't.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, sorry about that. Clearly, you've seen some of the diversity of the Democratic caucus. We often have different opinions, and I respect Legislator Allen for having a difference of opinion. But I will say, just for clarity's sake, I've got it fairly far away. I don't. You want to hear it up closer? Is that better? I think it's still ringing. Anyway, regardless, the Democratic caucus clearly voted in favor of moving the BRC, of going in that direction. However, what we do not agree with is the language. And clearly, I think that this proposal is a lot more cleaner. I think is a lot more succinct for the public to read. But I want to make sure it's on the record. While we support this language, the vast majority of the Democratic caucus does support moving the BRC, moving out to the BRC. Thank you.
Legislator Gerentine? Oh, Legislator Berkey.
Thank you. I will also be supporting the revision to the language. And I just wanted to call everyone's attention to some information that I've shared with my caucus and in the Democratic Committee in Kingston. So I just wanted to share it with the public, which is that there are several states, including Michigan and notably California, that have very clear rules about vetting ballot language to make sure that it's as neutral as possible. Also, there's something called Ballotpedia, which catalogs every single lawsuit regarding ballot language that is not neutral, and there are hundreds and hundreds of cases shown on Ballotpedia. I just want you to be aware of that because this has been circulated, and I think it's important that everyone understand that the lack of neutrality in ballot language, as well as important refereed journal articles talking about meta-studies that show that the framing of ballot language does have an effect on the voters, and that there are other ways that we as elected officials can reach the public to make our case. It should not be at the ballot box. Thank you.
Legislator Gerentine. Mary Beth would be going for a second time, so. That's all right. Okay. Legislator Mayo.
Chairman, I just want, through you, to Legislator Donaldson to clarify, did you call me and every other legislator lazy in your speech?
I said because you were too lazy to look for any more solutions.
Okay. Well, I would speak for every legislator on both sides of the aisle that that's not true.
But actually, I did not call you lazy. What I said was, what I basically said on there, you could add that to because some people would argue that. In fact, it was said in 2 editorials. But they could argue that's what I'm saying is you could argue that could go on the ballot. I mean, due to the fact that you're using all these other things on the ballot. I'm answering your questions. So.
Yep. Legislator Gerentine. No.
Now?
Wait for it. Try again.
Now?
There it is.
All right, thank you. Well, first of all, Dave, I respect what you're coming from regarding what you're saying, but there again, you know as well as I do and everybody in this room know that we have looked at this movement of from Lucas Avenue to various other places. We had committee meetings with the Dean's Committee, Public Works, and Ways and Means. I think probably we had the majority, or I know we had the majority, if not unanimous amount of people there from both committees. We went through various projects. I think we had at least 2 meetings, if not 3 meetings, Dean. So this not was just pulled out a year that we're going to go from Lucas Avenue to wherever. We evaluated different projects, different buildings. We looked at different buildings. I think you were at a couple of the meetings, along with some of the other legislators that weren't on the committees. We had people interject. We got answers to some of the questions that everyone had. And I think the end result of that was that we felt the best move for Ulster County residents and taxpayers was to move it from Lucas Avenue to the BRC. I think we all concur with that, correct? I think what we're talking about tonight is this, wording of the resolution itself. In saying that, we're pretty late in the ball game to be doing this. I personally went to Lucas Avenue. I went to different sites looking at what is good for Ulster County, and my personal opinion, and I think I do have some knowledge regarding construction and background, that the best thing for Ulster County residents is to move it to the BRC for many different reasons. And I specified that. I gave out reports regarding financials, what it might be. You might disagree with that, and everybody might disagree with it, but the bottom line is, in the long run, it's going to save taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. The other point that we have here is that, why did you wait to the last minute if we're going here? Because if this is not on the ballot, come, and you can do whatever you want regarding lawsuits. I mean, if you think that's a threat, Dave, we live in this world where people are threatened every day. So that's not a threat from where I sit, okay? You do what you think you have to do. Courts will make a decision. We have to move forward. I had the people from the court system call me up last week. I had 3 different phone calls from 3 different judges, judicial people, telling me, they would want to move this thing forward. Why are we at this point right now? We've been working on this for numerous years through the county exec's office. Legislative got involved probably about a year ago. They were here at the meeting one night. You heard them just as well as I did, that basically that if we don't proceed with this, there's going to be other financial ramifications that Ulster County is going to face. I'm not saying that the wording is correct, incorrect, I don't know. From what I'm being told, our attorneys evaluated it, the county exec's attorney evaluated it, they said it is totally legal. Now, you ask different attorneys, they have their own opinions on that. If you want to take it to court, by all means, take it to court and see what the courts say regarding that. The bottom line is that we are putting it out to the public. The public's going to make the final determination, yes or no. We are putting something out, they make a final determination, and we follow what's going to be there. When we took this vote, like you said, John, it was 18-4. It was good back then. It's not good now. So I would be totally against it for many different reasons, being late in the ball game, being told by our attorneys the language is correct and defendable, and that we should move forward with this. So I'm totally against this.
Legislator Donaldson for the second time.
Well, it wasn't late. I put it in last month, but what ended up happening is the chairman of the legislature came into Laws and Rules and voted using his power at that point to force a tie, so it did not come to the floor. So I had to get a petition to discharge. So I actually wanted it in a timely fashion because that was my mindset, was to do that, come up with compromise and do whatever we had to do. So I didn't wait. And again, whether it's legal or not, doesn't mean it's ethically right when you play voters for fools. And basically it is not about moving it. It is about the language. The language is inappropriate the way it's written. That's all there is to it. And I don't know, and he's saying that some people said, everybody loves it. Well, of course, that's exactly what the executive and the chairman wanted out of it. So, of course, they're going to give you that opinion that it's legal and it's wonderful. But it's not. It's wrong. It's wrong the way it's worded. And all I ask for, I'm not asking to throw anything off the ballot. In fact, instead, by you pushing this to the point where I have no choice, then I have no choice. I'm not threatening anything. I'm not trying to threaten anything. I am promising one. I'm not threatening anything. My mindset is I've been on this legislature for 22 years, and I always push the idea of good government. That has been my record throughout this time, and you can see it again and again and again. That's what my mindset is, and this is a good government issue for me. It's the idea that you should not try to manipulate the public in that manner. It makes us look bad. And that's all. Nobody's saying that, let's stop it. That's not my mindset. You're right. It passed 18-4. I was against it. I think it's the wrong move, but that's, my opinion. And that's fine. But the ballot should be neutral and let the public decide. You have the right to campaign for it as much as you please. Just like I have the right to campaign against it. So yes, what you do is you force that situation when you don't have to. It's a very easy fix. It's to make it a neutral ballot. Let's move on. But no, instead you're digging your heels and, no, we want this language to make sure that the public is aware that they save this, this, and this, but they're not being made sure that they lose this, 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 and this. So when you do that, again, the thumb on the scale, inappropriate.
Legislator Parity for the second time.
All right, just real quickly, I just wonder if I'm lucky enough to be able to run again. How my opponent would feel if the ballot reads John Parity, adored by his grandchildren, revered by members of the community, the best thing since line paper. I think my opponent would think that's a little unfair. Thank you, sir.
Legislator Parity, was line paper the best thing since sliced bread? Before sliced bread?
Repeat that again.
No other. Legislator Berkey for the second
Just
time.
very quickly, what I didn't conclude to you is that I think this is about transparency in government, voter access, and we need to trust the public. Thank you.
Legislator Allen for the second time.
It's upside down.
and I'd like to remind the legislators not to turn off the microphones.
So, sorry. So, Chairman John Parity, gave me an opportunity after 1 year of service. He put me on the Ways and Means Committee, and I want to thank him for that. And, John Parity is a legislator. He presents ideas where I've thought to myself, gee, there's not another one of the 22 of us in here that would think of something or say things the way that he exactly did. I voted for him as chairman the second year around because I don't believe that chairmanship positions should be renewable every year. It should be a 2-year position. But, he and I have a disagreement on this. I'm going to disagree with his opinion on this language being leading and his example that he used on the change through the charter in the government, in the structure of government, because essentially conflating 33 legislative seats to 23 legislative seats in single-member districts. There was a lot more information involved in that, and it didn't save the taxpayers money because it added 2 branches of government. It added the executive branch of government, which has a very large budget. It has singular aides in their department that make a salary that's more than what the savings was from cutting 10 legislators. And we added the controller's branch of government, the controller's office. So to be explanatory would have been to explain all the costs associated with those 2 branches of government. Okay, and when it comes to this particular issue, I think the voters are entitled to be informed. Legislator Berkey brings up Ballotpedia. She brings up laws in Michigan and California. They aren't laws in New York State. And anytime a lawsuit is brought regarding ballot referendum language, that's an interpretive issue, and it's left up to the interpretation.
Point of information. He's talking about reducing the size of the legislature and the charter. Were they done in the same year?
It's totally different.
And what was the year?
Legislator Parity.
Point of information.
I call the question.
That sounds like a good call. I stand behind my decision as a correct decision. Voters aren't being played out to be fools. We are not trying to lead things in the wrong direction. There should be more language on here to fully explain to the voters what's going on here, all the different scenarios that are involved with different locations, and the cost that would be involved with each one. Thank you.
There's been a motion to call the question. Motions. Are you going to withdraw your motion for Legislator Gerentine?
Only for him.
Okay.
Do that.
Legislator
Sorry.
Gerentine for the second time.
It's upside down.
Rich.
We can hear you. Pretend you're.
All right, well, anyway, just a final statement. Just a final statement. You're talking about transparency. I think we are being very transparent. We're putting it up to the voters to make a final determination of what we're doing here. It's as simple as that.
You had no choice in state law.
On the resolution.
We are short now.
With 1 yes, Legislator Parity.
With 1 yes, Legislator Parity.
We are a short yes with 1 no. Legislator Allen.
The resolution is defeated 9-9.
Resolution 382, setting a public hearing on proposed local law number 11 of 2016, a local law prohibiting discrimination on the basis of gender identity at places of public accommodation, resort, or amusement, to be held on Tuesday, October 11th, 2016 at 6:10 p.m.
Legislator Berkey.
That's funny.
Thank you. Pursuant to Rule 3F2, I am notifying the clerk that the resolution is withdrawn, and I'd like a moment just to explain this action. There is no state law at present that protects transgender people, and I believe, contrary to the advice of Majority Council, that we are well within our rights.
Legislator Berkey, just a point of order. If you're going to be stating a policy perspective on this, I'm going to entertain others to present the other side, and if you're going to disagree with Majority Council, I'm going to give him an opportunity to retort as well, or we can just withdraw it and be done with it. It's up to you.
Allowing the other legislative council to speak would have to be okayed by the legislative body.
That's not true, but
he's not a legislator. He's not a
legislator.
He should not be speaking.
Hold on a second. We've got.
First of all, we have a motion by the sponsor of this resolution
to withdraw.
So it's withdrawn.
She's notifying and explaining why she's withdrawing.
That's fine.
You don't need to do that. We don't need an explanation.
That we are well within our rights under home rule as a county to enact this legislation. However, the majority has stated in several meetings leading up to this point its willingness to support this legislation with a revised enforcement section. I accept this offer, and I look forward to working closely and immediately with your legislative council to draft the enforcement section together. I thank you for that. There is no, this is too important not to get it right. Human rights are at stake. Thank you very much.
Resolution 390, setting a public hearing on proposed local law number 13 of 2016, a local law amending the code of the County of Ulster to limit the gifts the county officers and employees may receive, to be held on Tuesday, October 11th, 2016 at 6:15 p.m.
Are you changing the date?
Legislator Bartels.
Yes, I'd like to propose an amendment changing the date to Tuesday, October 18th at 7 p.m.
Second.
On the amendment?
We are short yes.
Sure, yes.
The motion is adopted 18-0.
On the resolution as amended?
We're a short yes.
We're a short yes.
The resolution is adopted 18-0.
Resolution 398, approving the execution of a contract in excess of $50,000 entered into by the county, Lexipol LLC, Ulster County Sheriff.
We are short yes.
We're a short yes with one no. Legislator Bartels.
The resolution is adopted 17-1.
Resolution 416, approving the execution of a contract in excess of $50,000 entered into by the county, Barone Construction Group, Incorporated, Department of Public Works.
Legislator Donaldson.
I believe there's a number of late resolutions here tonight. This is one of them. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay, it is correct. And they're late, and not because they wouldn't have been able to be on time. It's late because, to me, we keep running these late resolutions for our DPW because I don't think there's an interest in to make sure the DPW is fully aware of these beforehand. And they keep on showing up late, and it's turned into an epidemic of lateness. And they keep on showing up, but nobody seems to want to say, you know what, send it back to committee. Now, I talked about that in caucus, but there wasn't the will to do that. And because, it's turning into the idea I thought we were supposed to have 3 branches of government, but we have 2. We have the courts, we have the county executive, and then we have another department called the water carrying department, the legislature. And the point is that until we start taking a stand that these things are to be on time, until we start taking a stand no different than with the court situation where you wait to the very last minute and now you got a letter, until we do that, we will continue to be the water carrying department. Now, my shoulders are heavy, but I can carry the water. Some of us have flat heads. Maybe we can put them on the heads. Who knows? But we got to go down to the river. I'll do it. I'll put it on my head, I guess. Down to the river.
Thank you, Dave. We're a short yes.
We are a short yes with one no. Legislator Donaldson.
No, I'll be a yes on it. I'll carry it up.
Apparently, we are a short yes.
I'm sure I'll
Apparently his head became flat as well.
I will carry the, that's what I said. My head is flat. I'm carrying
The resolution is adopted, 18-0.
Resolution 417, approving the execution of a contract in excess of $50,000 entered into by the county, Northeast Petroleum Technologies Incorporated, Department of Public Works.
Legislator Donaldson.
Yes, I have a flat head. Ditto.
On the resolution.
We're a short yes.
Apparently, we are a short yes.
The resolution is adopted, 18-0.
Resolution 388, requesting the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and the New York State Thruway Authority assure opportunities for meaningful public and municipal participation in the scoping process for the state environmental quality review of the Pilgrim Pipeline project.
On the resolution?
We're a short yes.
We're a short yes with one abstention.
Legislator Donaldson, there's no debate on memorializing resolutions.
So sorry.
Oh, all right, now is no problem.
So we are a short yes with one abstention. Legislator Green.
The resolution is adopted, 17-0 with one abstention. Legislator Green.
Resolution 389, opposing the proposal to establish several additional anchorage grounds for commercial vessels in the Hudson River.
We're a short yes.
We are a short yes with one abstention. Legislator Green.
The resolution is adopted, 17-0 with one abstention. Legislator Green.
That's the last resolution this evening. At this time, I'd like to call upon Legislator Ron Lapp, to read the memorials. I'd like to ask everybody, especially those in the gallery wearing orange shirts, to respect the reading of these memorials. These are very, these are very important to the loved ones who lost these individuals. So if we observe some decorum and respect for that. Legislator Lapp.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure and honor to read these memorials. Brian McKim, Saratoga Springs, New York. James E. Rothheim, Saugerties, New York. Edward R. Mance, Jr., Cohonson, New York. Jordan DePace, Kingston, New York. Henrietta Paulette, Marlborough, New York. Frank H. Yeager, Saugerties, New York. Marie A. Thomas, Stuart, Florida. Dr. Terrence E. Gavin, New Paltz, New York. John L. Fallon, Bloomington, New York. Joan Brannett, Kingston, New York. Rita Mae Exner, Ulster Heights, New York. Dorothy Spears, Saugerties, New York. William J. Weissop, Sr., Kingston, New York. H. Scott Newman, Palm City, Florida. Margaret Maxon, Hurley, New York. Ricky J. Upright, New Paltz, New York. Nilda H. Matthews, Searless, Kingston, New York. Clifford Chase, Mount Marion, New York. Joan Reesley White, Town of Ulster, New York. Marvin Sheldon, Saugerties, New York. Michael P. Fort, Sr., Colonel, United States Air Force, retired, Wesley, Massachusetts. Patricia L. Green, Stone Ridge, New York. Marilyn A. Coffey, New Paltz, New York. Jean Rose, West Hurley, New York. Benjamin F. Hill, Saugerties, New York. Gilbert Trenka, Saugerties, New York. Helen A. Schultes, Town of Ulster, New York. Do Wan Chung, Kingston, New York. Carla J. Chance, West Hurley, New York. Lois Ann Kopek, Kingston, New York. Gary R. Van Allen, retired senior investigator, New York State Police, Kingston, New York. Carmine F. Spada, Town of Ulster, New York. Kerry Stoutenberg, Kingston, New York. Lawrence Carroll, Ulster Park, New York. Donald J. Gustafson, Walk-Hill, New York. Margaret A. Gupart, Marlborough, New York. Florence Preen, Riften, New York. Barry E. Fellows, Saugerties, New York. Jacqueline A. Glacier, Kingston, New York. Phyllis M. Turco, Kingston, New York. Doris Hama, Inman, South Carolina. Jonathan Polanski, Kingston, New York.
Legislator Parity?
Thanks, Chairman Ronk. I'd like to, well, I don't like to, but I would want to add the name of Ernie Beesmer from Olive Bridge, a great community person that we lost.
Mr. Chairman, I want to add the name of Todd Carter. He passed away. He's a constituent of mine. Knew him from school. He was just short of his 49th birthday. Had 3 young children and a wife that he left behind. Died unexpectedly, too young. Thank you.
Legislator Green?
Yes, I just want to honor Marilyn Coffey was mentioned, but she's the former supervisor from the town of Esopus and was a mentor of mine.
Thank you. I just want to highlight for one moment.
Are you doing that? Thank you.
I want to mention the first name on the list, Brian McKim, was a great friend of mine. I'm honored that we were able to put him on the list. You know, he's not from Ulster County, but complications due to surgery, and he left a beautiful wife and a beautiful, 1.5-year-old daughter. And I just, I'm honored that he was able to be honored here tonight. I'm going to miss him a lot.
Move to adjourn.
With that having been said, Legislator Litz is not here to adjourn for us tonight, so Legislator Parity.
He asked me.
You did a good job.
Write his name down.
The next regular meeting of the Ulster County Legislature will be held on Tuesday, October 18, 2016, at 7 p.m. in the Legislative Chambers, 6th floor, Ulster County Office Building, 244 Fair Street, Kingston, New York. Wednesday, September 28th at 12 noon is resolution deadline. Legislator Parity, one more time. Motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? Opposed?
See you soon.